Are you ready to listen to a podcast?
Here comes the Playhouse Podcast, thanks to Bradshaw and Bryan Law Offices.
Find, subscribe, and listen.
Did you miss a show? Download the podcast now.
Hey, it's Elena J. A scary situation went down at the station yesterday. A guy came into the station yelling for JJ. We've got the audio. Plus, Kat was at Target and did something that was pretty cruel. And have you ever had a moment where you almost died? We've got those stories, plus so much more is coming up in the Playhouse Podcast, which starts now.
Yesterday was a very, very weird day here. So, the show gets over, we kind of mop up a few things, and I think I had like one small meeting, and then I bounce out. And I'm running some errands, and I find out later that a gentleman came looking for me yesterday. And at first, nobody really knew that he was here for me. Kat had heard a ruckus outside the studio, and had heard this guy screaming profanities.
Well, I was nervous because Derek was bringing my baby in. So I'm like, because the building went into lockdown. So they locked everything up, and this guy was out on the streets. So the cops were looking for him.
So they catch up with him later, and they find out that looks like he doesn't have a permanent residence, and that maybe he
just
hadn't taken his medication is probably a pretty good explanation of how this went down. But somewhere, I'm racking my brain trying to figure out what I must have said to set him off. Now, I'm going to warn you, I edited the audio. It doesn't have any curse words in it. It's easy to tell where he was saying things that are very derogatory, and it's a little bit shocking when you hear...
How do you feel, though? How do you feel inside that this person, the way he walked in this video, he was looking for you?
I don't want to sound like overly macho, but I can handle myself, right? I've been in enough scraps in my life.
Yeah.
And I guess I feel good enough about my skill set with my hands that I'm okay.
Okay.
Now, I know I can't...
side of me,
I can't fight a bullet. I get that. But I don't live my life running from people either. But you gotta hear there's a rage in this guy's voice that is a little concerning. So just beware. This is a little bit shocking.
You know what? You don't even deserve to look at me, you schmuck. I hate you, you little. You better remember this face thing if you're calling the cops.
So right before that, he heard me tell our prod guy...
It's scarier listening to it now.
...call the cops, and then he did not like that. But just to hear somebody above you going through with such rage...
And I'm not going to post the video because, number one, I don't want to. It's not my purpose to let everybody know what this guy looks like. But he was he really, really was beating on some of the property here.
Yeah.
Especially that door. He was slamming it over and over. And I really can't believe the glass didn't pop out of that door. But what do you think I did? And then now people are texting in, hey, was it that Marcus guy that was the deadbeat brother? No. Listen, I'm going to be super honest. Did you think it was local rapper Jerry at first?
I honestly did.
Yeah, that was my first impression too. Like, oh my God, was that Jerry?
Yeah. But I mean, sometimes you just got to be really careful. Like, sometimes we say things and we don't know how they affect people, and we try not to. What did you?
This is
that text?
This is a pretty serious moment.
Yeah. And
I have my smart ass friends texting me, "Hey, is that umpire you got in the argument with that one time? Remember that guy that kicked you out of the game?" They're like, "This is." I wish this was like a setup thing. Like, I wish this was.
All I know is that there was a mental health issue. I really hope that he has made his way on the road, going somewhere else.
And then they were like, "Hey, do you want to be part of this?" You know, like I think we fill out like a trespassing report or something like that, right? He's supposed to stay however far away it is. They're like, "Do you want to be part of this?" I'm like, "No, I don't want. I just want the guy to get help, right?" Like, right. Obviously, there's a wire that's not connected there. Somebody fix the wire. Get him some meds. Get him whatever the deal is. Mm-hmm. I get it. That's my goal. Like, I want this guy to be in a happier place.
Yeah.
And not kill me.
Same.
You want to hear it again?
Yeah.
You kind of do, don't you?
Go ahead.
This is where he's coming into the building. Now, if you've ever been to our studios, you know you can kind of see in here. There's windows all over the place, and this is where he's yelling like at the studio.
You know what? You don't even deserve to look at me, you schmuck.
For what it's worth, the time frame from when he walked into the building till when he decided to leave after just screaming over the railing was probably only about 15 or 20 seconds.
I hate you, you little.
And then this is where he decides to take it out on our door. And right there is where Kat says, somebody call the cops. And he hears that as he's on his way out, and then he turns around and...
You better remember this face thing if you're calling the fucking cops.
So, nice guy. Just had nowhere to be yesterday.
I don't, again, I'm not that I'm bigger, stronger, tougher than anybody. But I'm not overly scared. I just, I really genuinely hope this guy gets some help.
Yeah.
Like, this is a moment of, like, I keep pondering, though, what do you think I said that set this guy off?
I don't think you said anything. I think maybe you're the only one. You know how some people just link one person to certain things? Maybe he just had you in his mind and just was upset at something
My
else.
wife gives me you've been doing that show for 17 years. Do you think he's just tired of you?
Maybe.
I go, yeah,
I am.
Maybe this is you know what? Listen, a long time ago, radio stations used to give away promotional items that was like a small transistor radio, but it was set to this frequency and you couldn't turn it. What if he has one of those and he's just been listening only to our show for the last 17 years
Just putting lipstick on.
and has just decided
Over.
it was finally time to be done?
Yeah.
Can we get
Well-
this guy to cash in his ESOP and just go?
If you're out there,
Hey, much love, man.
get some help.
Eat those pills. Do whatever it takes. Get some help. Our question of the day today being that Katy Perry had a baby yesterday, and they named it again what?
Daisy Dove Bloom. That's her personality. Like very whimsical.
Daisy.
So, yeah.
There-
Daisy.
other than the duck, are there any other famous daisies?
Daisy Fuentes.
Fuentes. Good call. All right. So our thought was, all right, this looks like a fun family to be part of. Katy Perry, kind of goofy. Orlando Bloom seems like he's a fun guy. And so what I wanted to ask for my question of the day is if you had to have a celebrity to have a baby with because of like the parenting experience, yours would be whom, Elena J?
I would go with Zac Efron because number one, he's handsome, so the genetics would be amazing. But then number two, he just seems so genuine and nice, and he seems like he would be a good dad.
It's good sense of humor. I've seen it. That one,
Yeah.
what was the Bad Grandpa? Is that the movie you did with Robert De Niro?
He's so hot.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah. that'd be worth it.
I automatically went to Beyonce. I thought she'd be a fun chick to raise a baby with. And so
bite your head off.
we're, well, listen, I wouldn't have to ever guess where my place was in that relationship.
Right.
I would be very subservient to a woman like her. And when it came around to Kat's answer to this,
So I had two really obvious ones that I could have gone with because they're hot and they seem like really nice men. Like Shamar Moore loves his mama, and she passed away, so now he's lost. And I follow him on Facebook and just want to give him a kiss. And then Idris Elba, he's so hot. But then I'm like, there's somebody that if I'm gonna raise a child with, and I want them to have certain tendencies,
guys, this is gross as hell.
it would be Larry David.
Shut up.
What? I'm serious. I have been watching so much Curb Your Enthusiasm, and when he riffs with like Jerry Seinfeld and they ad lib and they're laughing and they can't hold it in, and I'm just like, that guy would just keep us rolling, and I want my kid to have that same sense of humor. I don't know. There's just something about him.
The wrong answer to this question is Larry David.
I thought you said there's no wrong answer.
I don't think I said that today. And if I did, I take it back because the wrong answer is Larry David. So that's our
All right.
question of the day. If you could raise a baby, people are texting in Keanu Reeves.
Because he has great genetics and great personality. He's very humble, which I like about him.
Did I read that Keanu Reeves has a learning disability as well, where it takes him like forever to read and learn the scripts?
Isn't it dyslexia like Tom Cruise has it? Yeah.
And Keanu Reeves also started from nothing. Like, he had nothing.
Yeah.
Very humble guy. So I get that. But that's our question of the day. Who would you want to parent a baby with?
1132 said Katie Holmes. Katie Holmes is kind of, I feel like she'd be really boring. But
I do
guess
too.
if he wants a vanilla mom that's probably just going to be around all the time.
She'd probably make a good lasagna, though. You know what I mean? Like, I think she'd use the spicy
sure.
Italian sausage.
She screams lasagna.
Weird news.
Here we go. Left unattended with all of their school supplies now. A 7-year-old from China recently swallowed a pencil while doing his homework. The boy's parents rushed him to the hospital where surgeons removed the pencil. He's going to be okay. And it was because he was imitating the sword swallowers that he was watching on TV while he was doing his homework. So you think you can do it.
Gives a whole new meaning to number 2 lead.
Doesn't it?
Because it's going to go through his...
Yeah. You know, there's a guy I used to party with that could suck down hot dogs like that. Have you ever seen someone do that?
No.
Have you seen that, Elena?
Yes.
Like when people do that? It was so bad.
I
Nothing
married
ever
her.
went wrong, but he would that was his party trick. He'd bring a whole bunch of Franks and he'd just... I'm not even joking. And he lives in Elk River now.
Can we get him up in here?
Sure.
Can you
get
contact
on.
him?
Yes.
Can we get him on for like a video, like a What's Up Wednesday video with us?
Well, it would make sense for him to call in now.
Oh,
I know
no,
he's
that. But
probably up.
I want to see it. I don't want to hear about it.
Oh,
I want to see him do
see the trick.
I want to see him do the wiener trick.
That was so 15 years ago. I mean, I don't know if his throat still takes it like
there's
that.
a lot of stuff that I could do 15 years ago that I can still do today.
Sorry, false alarm.
False alarm.
False alarm.
Everything is fine.
Are you sure we have a lot of false alarms in our family?
False alarm.
Well, false alarm.
Officers in Germany, they were called to an apartment complex where witnesses heard some shots fired. Multiple teams of officers swarmed the complex. They get up there and they opened the door to this apartment. And this guy had fallen asleep with the TV running at full volume and was watching Westerns. So the gunshots turned out to be just sound effects from the shows he was watching.
He got that from
my
Macaulay
dad.
Culkin.
My dad can watch TV and fall asleep at the top-notch volume that you could possibly go.
I did this the other night too.
You
My wife was
did?
yelling at me. I was watching a baseball game and it was like really loud.
You must have been really
and I
tired.
fell asleep. I did. I was just kind of, like straight ahead when you're looking straight ahead, but your eyelids are the only things that go down.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You okay?" And I go, "Yeah, why?" She goes, "You missed 2 innings." And I'm like, "Oh my God, they got it. What's going on?" And she's like, "I don't know, but it was really, really loud while I was trying to read."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just hit that age now where I can do that.
Yeah, well, good for you. And that is what's weird.
Hey, Brad, speaking of swallowing stuff, this kid in China, you're not unexpecting of this amongst your friends?
So I've got quite a few odd friends out there that likes to, unfortunately, swallow things.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have to say a friend of mine has swallowed a spoon, like a little baby spoon.
God.
What?
He called me like the next day and said, "Hey, I've got to go to the hospital." So I took him, and I was in there when they did the x-ray and gave the results. And they said, "Hey, it's a baby spoon." I didn't question. I didn't want to know.
Listen, I'm usually happy when anybody involves me in the conversation about being baby spoon.
Yeah,
But
not this time.
no bueno. Now you got to tell everybody, why were you such a horrible human being yesterday?
So I don't know. You said I was a horrible human being. Derek said that it was a bleep hole thing to do. And I feel like the person before me was a bleep. So that's why I did it. I go to the bathroom at Target and it was a spare square moment. There was no toilet paper.
Oof.
And
Don't you look at that before you sit down?
no, and not everybody does.
man.
90% of people don't look at toilet paper.
You only got to
if
get
it's
burned
stocked.
once, man. I had to use check blanks once, so it's the first thing I look for every single time.
I guess it hasn't happened to me in a long time. So I sit down, do my business, and then there's nobody in there. So I'm like, oh my God. So I'm sitting there trying to think of the next move. Then a woman walks in. She's got these leopard shoes, just walking by. And I go, "Hey, can I get some toilet paper, please? There's none in here." She said, "Absolutely." Hands me like literally 3 squares. I'm like, who wipes with 3 squares?
Just first things would you do? Well, 1 or 2.
So anyway, I grab.
You were
the
duking,
toilet
weren't
paper.
you? You were
Do
duking at
not
Target?
even talk like that. It's so gross. So I grab the toilet paper. I say thank you. Roll my eyes because she can't see me, and then wash my hands twice. And I get out of there. And I'm like, you know what? I could easily tell somebody that there's an issue in there that they have to take care of. But no one did that for me.
Oh, you didn't even tell somebody at Target that stall 4 needed the TP?
No.
I
just kept walking.
Your husband's right. That is a D-bag thing to do.
I passed by 4 red shirts, and I'm like, I could have said something to the first person, just like a heads up.
You were
Gotta
part
go
of the
there.
problem, not part of the
was.
solution.
I wanted someone else, and I'm not a vengeful person, but I wanted someone else to have that.
There's
hot,
not even a
sweaty feeling.
venge there. There's no vengeance. It's just you're just making the world a worse place.
I was mad at the person before me, and I took it out on the person behind me, and I feel bad about it, kind of.
So first you take it out on the person next to you because of what you had for lunch, and then you take it out to the next person who's going to go in there because I think it's a horrible thing to do.
I was just raging like that guy yesterday.
Did you have to grab both the handles? Was it that good of
No,
a...
not the kind of rage I'm talking about. But Derek called me a bleep hole, and I'm like, that's not right.
So that's our question, is the last time you had that kind of a moment. Jessica, when was yours?
I was told that I was this week. My mom brought this egg dish or like egg bake to our family brunch.
Yeah.
I didn't put it out because it has a history of not being good.
Okay. So you didn't put it out because you felt like it was going to be gross.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I mean, in the past, it's had random eggshells in there, like super dry.
Oh, nasty.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, I would rather have her see it like untouched versus people to be like, oh my God, this is so bad.
So you're saving her feelings, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to.
Well, you're saving your friends and family from getting sick too, probably.
I really thought I was playing, a best of both worlds, but apparently my sister said that it was an awful thing to do.
I think. Thank you for the call, by the way. I think it kind of is.
Well, it had a double meaning. She didn't want her mom to get hurt, and she didn't want to taste it at the same
Remember
time.
that time that you were hosting Thanksgiving, and you said, "I'll cook the bird," and then you cooked the turkey, and it was perfect. But your mom still brought a baked turkey because she thought you were going to screw it up.
And I called my mom on Thanksgiving, a day you give thanks for things. I called her that word. I said that was a real thing to do.
Blank hole thing to do.
And then she started crying, like a fake cry. It wasn't even real. My sister caught it on camera. And I'm like, it was so rude to do. I would never do that to somebody that's hosting a party like that.
As you're listening to this, what you don't realize, though, is when Kat is with her mom in Mexico, they're besties.
It's so fun. I want Cancun Jen all year round. I want that Jen. But then she gets back here, then she gets like anxious Jen.
Yeah, when the Crocs go on, it just becomes a completely other human.
Different game.
I'm JJ, Kat's here, and we say good morning to a woman who I thought I heard correctly this morning puked on a 3-year-old. And I was like, not again. But she didn't quite get to throwing up on a 3-year-old. Give me the story, please, Elena.
So last night we're having dinner, and Avery, my fiance's 3.5-year-old, he's eating a sandwich, apple juice, and applesauce. And so he's like, I'm done. I'm full.
Well-balanced meal, by the way, for that kid. He's going to be a boss.
Yeah, for sure. And so he's like, I'm done. I'm full. And I'm like, okay. And I look over, and he still has a bunch of applesauce left. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just eat the applesauce. I don't want to waste it. And I start eating it. And I just start thinking about how this spoon has been in his mouth, and there's probably like spit up back in this, and there might be little chunks of meat, bread from the sandwich. And I just started gagging. Yeah. And I've never had this happen before. Like, I'm all about sharing food. Like, I'll share anything with anybody, but apparently I just cannot share applesauce.
Hold on, let me.
Please don't do that. Don't share anything with anybody.
Well,
gross.
I mean, like with family, with my fiance, like. I'm not talking about like a stranger.
Like if the three of us went to lunch and we ordered a big basket of onion rings as an appetizer, would you, if I took a bite off an onion ring and I'm like, I don't like this, would you eat the rest of it?
Probably yes.
Wow. I'm very surprised by that.
I am too. I can't handle this. And Derek has always been like, he's your kid. Come on, why do you react like that? But anytime like Liam will have a bottle of water or I can't. I will be so thirsty. I will be almost dying in a desert.
You've never been almost dying of thirst in your entire life.
You have not known me my whole life. I have been very thirsty.
Give me one time you were close to death.
God, how much time do we have? There have been too many times. And then he would offer me a bottle of water for like a drink. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, buddy, I can't. Because you see the floaties. Even if there aren't floaties, there might be that I don't see. And I
can't
get so grossed out.
I'm really close to throwing up right now.
Yeah, we were at the state fair and it happened. There you go. That's my example. We were at the state fair and I was so thirsty and we were far away from any little shack that would serve water. And I'm just like, no, I'm just going to have to fight through it.
And you made it. You're still here today.
Barely.
Can't believe it.
Barely.
So for you, it's water?
Yeah.
Elena, for you, it's applesauce.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what mine is, but would you share with with us? What's the food you won't share? For me, though, it's potato salad. I will not eat anyone else's potato salad. I've been at a billion barbecues, family reunions, graduations. Just this last graduation season, we go to a couple places. My wife's like, "You want to finish off my potato?" No. She goes, "You won't eat that potato salad." I said, "No, because it's scooped." There's something about somebody else's potato salad.
Yeah. So
Won't
it
do
could
it.
be pasta salad. You'd be good with pasta
Yeah. Oh yeah,
salad?
for sure. Or salad. If they had the leftover, like it's a chicken.
I couldn't do lettuce salad.
Caesar salad on the side.
Leftover? No.
Oh, yeah, if we go out to eat and my wife has a Caesar salad, I'm like, you gonna finish that?
I could do potato salad.
Potato salad's nasty. Alicia, how we living?
Good. How are you?
Good. What won't you eat that's like somebody else's? You just absolutely won't do it.
I really don't have a problem eating other people's food. So my mom was on a diet, and you know those marshmallows that are covered in chocolate, and then they have like coconut on them?
Oh, yeah, those are delicious.
So she was on a diet, and she really wanted these marshmallows, and I'm like, don't eat it. She's like, yeah, I just going to eat one. And I'm like, don't eat it. You're on a diet. She's like, I'm going to have just one. And I said, you can't just eat one. And she's like, I'm just going to eat one. And so she popped it in her mouth, and I leaned across the table. I squeezed her cheeks. I pulled it out, and I popped it in my own mouth.
Ew!
What is your problem?
That is gross.
She was like, oh, my God, I can't believe you did that.
Did you do that because if you took it out and threw it in the garbage, she would reach for it and put it back in her mouth?
No, I just didn't really think about it. I
You
just
didn't
popped
even
it
think
in my
about
own mouth and ate it.
Listen, I have 3 children, and I don't love any of them enough where, unless they were eating like a battery, would I squeeze their cheeks and pull something out of their mouth? That is some baby bird kind of crap that I am just not into.
You know what, though? You sound like a ride or die. I need you on my side. If I'm on a diet, I want you by me at all times. Because I'm reaching for that
it was
stuff.
great.
Could you possibly call the show like during the second hour of the show every day and be like, Kat, put that bomb burrito away, and like next thing you know,
You spread so many rumors.
Are you
I
telling
eat
me-
bananas, I eat avocados in here, and then he says they're bomb burritos.
Alicia, there was a stretch of many days that about the second hour of the show,
No.
I'd be like, "Where's Kat?" It would go. I would be like, I'd be talking by myself, and she'd come in here with a fully heated 3-pound burrito,
Such
like
a lie.
like one of those you see on that what was it, Man versus Food shows.
I was young.
You know?
21 to 23, I had a phase. All right? And
I
those
called it
things
the
were
bomb
so
burrito
good.
phase. And then the worst is I got to suffer after that because what happens after the bomb burrito, I think everybody understands what's going on.
Whatever. Now you're asking for it.
All right. Well, you actually, out of all this gross talk, I will somehow find a place that has chocolate-covered marshmallows with the little coconuts on them yet today, and I will buy some, and I will think of you squeezing the marshmallow chewed out of your mother's mouth and then eating it because, Alicia, we need more of you around.
I know. I don't even like coconut either.
Yeah.
You just did it for the principle.
Listen, it's like falling on a grenade for a friend in Vietnam. I get it, man. I get it.
Good for you. So I was talking to Liam, got the email schedule for football, flag football, going to be starting up for him. And he is so excited. Like, we have worked really hard this summer. He's done the ground ladder to work on agility. And he has me hold up this huge, like, inflatable swan. And he runs and works on his tackling, puts a shoulder into it. And
Right
stuff
on.
Like that.
That's very cool.
Her name is Francesca.
Francesca.
And he's really put a lot of effort into football, so I'm excited for him. But he was asking if there were going to be cheerleaders there. I said, buddy, that's around high school time. So that's what you want to work for. You want to have girls on the sidelines then, cheering for you, girls and guys, and doing the pyramids and flips and stuff. And Derek prides himself on being the first male cheerleader for St.
First
Michael
ever.
Albertville. And he was also the mascot there. And so he offered his 2 cents of how they really are athletes and, you know, they put a lot of effort into their craft as well, which is true because when I was
Boy,
a
really? They're
cheerleader-
athletes, you
yes,
think?
Yes, we were.
I'm kidding.
We had to lift every day. We had to
relax.
run every day.
Everybody
And
relax.
I remember there was a school that we went up against, and it was crazy competition. I mean, we would go to Florida every single year and do the big flipping competitions, and we would take first until this school came into play. And they were kind of more of like an underdog school, and we
They
used
probably
that to
didn't
our
have the same
advantage.
kind of training that you guys had and everything.
Right, we were very lucky.
Sure.
And so sometimes we were jerks and we would rub that in their faces. And one day we had this girl come for auditions, and my boyfriend had just left for college. So I was like in kind of a weird spot, you know, I'm like, just whatever. So she comes, wows us, okay? And we had another girl, her name was, we called her Big Red because she was a redhead. And I'm like, you don't want to go against what she has to say, but we really want this girl on our cheerleading team. Like, she's going to be a big asset. But she was kind of like a hardcore chick. You know, you didn't want to ever cross her. So whatever. We kind of softened her up a bit. And then
Hey, Heather,
I fell in love with her brother.
real quick, Heather, were you a cheerleader?
I was not, but my daughter loves that movie.
What movie?
Bring It On.
Bring It On!
That's it. Oh, it's already been beratin.
At what point of Kat lying about her life being Bring It On, where you're like, no, this has got to be a lie?
When she said they went to Florida or California for a competition, I kind of thought maybe that was the turning point.
What I love is that our audience is so, they've all learned that Kat is such a huge liar about everything in her life that as soon as she starts telling a story, they go, what movie is that? They don't even try and get into the story. They just start thinking, what is she lying about today? What movie is that?
I figured it would be easy if I said I was at the top of the pyramid, that people would be like, nah. I think she might be fibbing a bit. But good job. You knew I was lying, so you just scored some goodies.
Heather knows the rules. Every time you catch Kat lying about a movie being her life, you call in, you grab some Playhouse goodies, so we're going to load you down, all right? Apparently, people all want to be Minnesotan.
Well, it's in the top 5, and they don't. It's the least sexiest accent. So Pittsburgh at number 5. Minnesota came in at number 4. But New Jersey was the number 1 accent that people thought was the least sexiest accent.
Least sexy.
In the United States.
What is the most sexy? Is it a Southern accent?
It is.
Is it?
It's a
Texas?
Texan
Yeah,
accent.
I would agree.
That's because they say bless your heart and stuff like that.
There's something about that draw that you just, it's I don't know if it's sexy on a guy.
I think it's more so on a girl.
Man,
Yeah.
I agree.
And so I don't feel like I have an accent until I hang out with my cousin Zach. And he always points out when I say things that are very Minnesotan. And I just don't know. Oh, my God. Crap.
Well, what you guys are listening to right now is the live feed. When our show is distributed across the country, then we'll get people who'll be like, you sound like you're from Minnesota. We're like, well, we are.
Where are these guys from?
Right, we're from Minnesota. That's why I love this accent.
Steel jacket. Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure. You betcha.
Oh no, I forgot all my reusable bags for the co-op.
Like the sound of a choir of angels singing, a dove softly cooing. This is the sound of the Minnesotan accent.
Oh no, I didn't put a coat in my bag, and now there's so much snow in the road.
We've all heard it.
I love it. It's unique.
Very distinctive. Hometown, wholesome, the perfect accent.
I think it's ugly.
I don't think it's ugly. Of course, I live here, so I don't even think I have an accent.
And the best part, she was at the Mall of
She's
America.
the worst. Listen to this again.
Of course, I live here, so I don't even think I have an accent.
Of course you don't.
When you say accent,
Yeah.
it's guaranteed you're from Minnesota.
I think it's charming. I love when I hear just like Belgrade, Bruton, Rosa folk, and they just say Thursday. It is my favorite. I love it. And I'm not saying that I'm any better, because sometimes I'll let out.
You were just saying
an,
before we
heck.
turned the microphones on, you're like, I'm so much better than these people.
I never once said that.
Me and my recumbent bike don't have a Minnesota accent.
We don't.
We didn't, for sure. But how did Liam almost die?
Okay, so I am in the kitchen getting tacos done, and I hear the door fling open. My kid slams it right away, and I hear just his breathing and his panting, and he's like, I almost died. I'm like, what happened? And I look outside, and he goes, the dogs are outside of our house. There's a house on the corner. They have boxers, and they have those collar units where
The
they
electric
can't
fence, yeah.
move the property line or go off the property line. Evidently, it was like shut off or something.
Well, sometimes the batteries go dead. Sometimes, listen, a strong dog can bust right through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And just not care about the buzzing and the zapping. But these dogs were coming after my kid, and he was on his bike, jumps off his bike. It's in the middle of the lawn.
Do you think he ghost rid? Do you guys remember ghost riding your bike?
No.
Where you go
yeah,
really
yeah,
fast and you'd be on the one pedal and then you'd push it and let it go as far as you could, and all you could see was your parents going, I paid all that money for that.
He probably did, but he ran inside and he just yelled, I almost died. Which I don't know how friendly these dogs are. They've never threatened us in any way, but...
Now, Henry texted us right away and said, guys, I almost died. And by his text, I was like, no, you didn't, because it has to do with a haircut. Can you tell us the story?
Okay, so when I was 7, my mom told me to go grab the scissors because she was going to cut me and my siblings' hair.
Okay.
So I was all souped up, and I ran back from the kitchen with them in my hand, and I tripped, and I fell, and I stabbed myself right through my stomach, like into right next to my hip.
Oh my God.
And apparently the blade was just or like the scissors were just like an inch from my kidney.
Oh,
So,
my God.
I had to go. They brought me to the doctor. I had to go get stitches for the wound, but I definitely, if it would have hit the kidney, I guess I definitely could have bled out.
That is so perfect.
Jeez.
No running with scissors. That's why.
This is exactly why you don't run with scissors.
Well,
That's
and then
exactly what I was doing.
now forever, those people are going to hand you those crappy rounded edge scissors, the safety ones or whatever. You're going to have. Did you have those like all through high school then, when everybody else had the good scissors?
I wouldn't have even gone by scissors.
Yeah, it was a little bit of the inside joke.
A
there
running
with,
joke.
giving me-
Oh, it was a running joke. Yes, thank you. I'll be here all morning. Now, Elena goes, no. I got one better. I almost died when I was sleeping. Break this down for us, please.
Yeah, so we had just gotten done with a Nickelback concert. It was in Fargo.
How it always starts. Okay.
So, it's late night, like 10:30, maybe 11-ish, driving home from Fargo to East Grand Forks, driving I-29. And it was me, my older sister, her boyfriend at the time, and then my girlfriend at the time. And apparently, I didn't know this, but because my sister had driven there, I had to drive back home.
Oh, that's the rules.
And I was like, whoa, like I'm tired. And she's like, well, I worked all day. You're just going to have to drive. So driving home, and I ended up falling asleep at the wheel.
How
Now,
fast were you going, do you think?
80.
Oh,
That happened to
That's
me in
how fast
college. I was just busting from one job to internship to school. I was so tired. Mm-hmm. And that's scary.
Yeah, it just hits you. But the crazy part was, so it's basically like a one way, because there's two lanes going
And it's separated
north
by a
and
median,
south.
right?
Yeah, there's a median. But apparently this car ended up coming on the wrong way. So I fell asleep right at that moment when a car came down and was coming toward me.
It came
and luckily
off the on-ramp.
Yeah, and luckily my girlfriend at the time, she was Australian, so she couldn't drive. She was like wide awake. She's like, I wish I could drive, but I don't have, my license
We
here or whatever.
almost died, Elena.
She's like, yeah, pretty much. She's like, the car. And I'm like, what? So I wake up, and luckily she had her hand on the wheel, and she ended up maneuvering us over to the other side so that we could.
How does she sound when she sings Nickelback songs? Does she do it in an accent?
Rock star.
Look at this photograph. Every time it makes me laugh.
Pretty much.
So the only reason you're really here today is because of an Australian who couldn't drive, an Australian lesbian who couldn't drive.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Yeah.
And listen, Avery, I don't know how you're going to top that. I mean, has your life ever been saved by an Australian lesbian?
Not by an Australian lesbian.
Okay, well,
I hear a but.
Yeah. What do you got for us? How did you almost die?
I was getting into like a verbal argument with my father when I was an adolescent, and I got to the point where I wanted to get out of the car, and we were going through town, so about 30 miles per hour. I opened up the car door, actually unbuckled my seatbelt, and kind of just let my body fall out. If it wasn't for my dad and wearing a sweatshirt, I probably could have died because there was cars behind us, but he ended up choking me, pulling me back in the car.
There's been only one other conversation with one human that I know that I would fall out of a car just to avoid a conversation. But was the conversation that bad that you were just like, I'm just gonna die because this is a horrible conversation?
I still to this day don't get along with my dad, but
Yeah.
I mean, he's still my best friend. It's kind of like a twisted story.
No.
I guess, like,
Yeah.
he's my best friend, but through my adolescence, he wasn't. He was the person that knew how to push my buttons.
That was my dad. I tell JJ and I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, God, I was such a jerk to my dad. I would walk by and he'd be reading the newspaper and that would bother me. And I'd just be like, I hate you. And I would just walk away. So forever now, I call him maybe once,
Trying to
twice
make
a
up
day,
for it.
just to say I love you. How's it going? I'm sorry.
But again,
I was
just
a
so I
jerk.
can understand this, Avery, the conversation, and you were so mad at your dad that at 30 miles an hour, you opened up the door, took off the seatbelt, and then let your body go limp as you tried to exit the car. And luckily, he snagged you by the hoodie and pulled you back in. Otherwise, you wouldn't be with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I am very, like, I've called before regarding mental illness.
Yep.
As well, because my dad is very supportive with that. He's gone through like depression, and I just in that moment wasn't in the right state of mind and just was going to let myself out of a car with.
Do you have kids,
no
Avery?
reason. I do.
And
yes.
are you
I do
fearing
have
that they're going to do the same thing to you at one point?
It's funny that you say that, JJ. My son took off his seatbelt the first day of school. He goes to BBE. Thankfully, I have child locks, but he was trying to get out because I told him he couldn't get any toys after school with his grandma, and he was mad about it. So, yes, I have the exact same fear, but Caden didn't see this happen, but I do have the exact same fear because he has taken off his seatbelt.
So odd. Thanks for sharing with us. I appreciate it.
I hope you don't have to deal with that.
Yeah,
ever again.
good luck with those child locks. You know, you should, yeah. Listen, I've never told somebody they should bolt the door shut like the Dukes of Hazzard, but you might consider it.
Like I said, I'm thankful for my dad. He saved my life, and it's kind of a twisted story. He's been my best friend since, and it's weird. It's almost kind of like an episany, I guess, or wake-up call to both of us.
Yeah, moment of clarity.
There's something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
good.
Hey, thanks, Avery. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Y'all ever seen you know what listen, I'm not a shrink at all, but you ever seen a movie where all of a sudden they just can let themselves fall out of the car and then they just roll a couple of times and then they're all fine and then they watch that car careen into a lake or something like that? I think
that's not real life.
For sure it's not real life. I think exiting a car at even like 8 to 9 miles an hour, you're probably going to break something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
feel like maybe she has told that story in front of her kid or told that story to her kid.
Maybe.
And then they're able to say, well, you did it. You know, you can't get mad at me because I did it.
Podcast. Download the podcast. The Playhouse Podcast is made possible thanks to Bradshaw and Bryant Law Offices. Catch the live show weekdays from 5:30 to 9 on 104.7 KCLD. Now, share this with a friend. Immediately.
And hey, we have more podcast episodes available, so go check them out right now. Do it. Come on, do it. Seriously, do it.